concentration, and then we concentrated on how can we watch the thoughts and slow them down. Okay, today what are we going to do once the thoughts are slowed down, and can you change them to from negative to positive? And that is called in Sanskrit what's called Pratipaksha Bhavana. In English, it is cognitive reframing. You know, not judging the thoughts being negative or positive, anything like that, but just identifying the negativity and not to allow it to continue in the negative, and then really inducing anything positive around that thought that we kind of identify more like a negative. Maybe we are judging a little bit, but still, the idea is to a positive frame. The idea is to not to deplete the energy when we are going into the negative. So let's just review a little bit for those people who joined just now. Is to in this day and age where so many things are coming at us all the time, what we are doing is we are kind of trying to calm ourselves inside and make sure our mind and our thought patterns are so rapid, so quick, and they are taking a lot of our energy away, and also not allowing us to focus on anything that is really important in our lives, right? So, in this day and age of information overload and people with lot of overwhelm, stress, and burnout, I just want to help people to rekindle their own capacity that is within them, where they can really focus and concentrate and really have a control of their inner thoughts and feelings. That's what I was trying to do. Okay, so with that really understood, so we kind of make some time every day. The dawn and dusk are the best ones. And when you go there, in a particular room, you stay there, and then you do at least 5 to 10 to 15 minutes, whatever that you could do. You try to focus and concentrate and make sure that you are at one point, and then you follow the movement of thought. Watch the movement of thought. Watch that, uh, a lot of worlds of thought that happen, right? So that is what Patanjali called Chitta Vritti Nirodha. And what's the purpose of that? So that we can be aware or be in that awareness which is behind this thought movement. Once the thoughts stop, then you know who is the seer, who is the hearer, who is the person who is experiencing. That is the awareness that you want to be. So once you are focused, once you have slowed it down, then what are you going to do with those thoughts? Look at them, and you will really know, is that a fearful thought? Is that an angry thought? Is that you can have all of it's not bad, but then do you want to continue them in your imagination or in your memory without really resolving them, and thereby really losing a lot of our energy and really depleting our energy, right? So once you understand, okay, I don't have to be at the behest of my rapid thinking or desperate thinking or different types of thoughts. I can be in control of those thoughts just by watching them. They kind of slow down, and when I slow them down, then I can be aware of the negativity or positivity of it. And if it is the negativity, you want to really change it to positive. If it is really positive, and then you can say, okay, I can follow them and then make them one pointed, and then eventually I can go beyond even the positive thoughts also. But that is all later, right? Just work with whatever you have, whatever you feel that is happening within you. No standards, no judgment, or saying that I'm not that good, I cannot do it. Don't have those kind of thoughts either. Follow them too, understand them. And eventually, when you have one thought, you will say, where is this thought coming from? Okay, and you go and stay in that awareness space where you can use the thought whenever you want for practical purposes. But do you have to live it all the time? Do you have to relive the past? Do you have to project somewhere the non-existing future? That's the question, right? Then you come from the calmness, the peace, and the happiness that contented self within. And that one really thinks very clearly and really accomplishes a lot of things that it wants to. So every day at the same time, try to go to a place where there are no external stimuli for you, and then you stay there and you close your eyes if you need be, and then you kind of take deep breaths, make the breath at the center, and then as you breathe in and out, be aware of that, the movement of the air. Feel the touch on the alanase, that is this part of it, right? And also be aware of the movement of the thought too. The thoughts slow down when you do the deep breathing, and that helps a lot. Then be that awareness which is aware of the thought movement, and then you slow it down, and then you identify negativity of them, and then you kind of go beyond that negativity by thinking something positive. If at all you cannot think anything, just say, I'm happy, I'm alive, something like that. So I do that. I'm happy, I'm a human being, I'm happy, I'm alive, I'm happy, I can explore these things, that kind of thing, right? So once you identify that negativity, you replace with the positivity, and then you continue with positive thinking, and slowly you will realize, I can really slow this down. I can be in charge of the thoughts that are happening to me. Instead of reacting right away or getting worried with the deep thought, you will respond to the challenge according to what it is, and from there you can go. Okay, so that's what I wanted to tell you about clarity of mind, where you have to understand um, why is no concentration, why there is no focus of the thought, why there are negative thoughts all the time, why I'm thinking I am the thinking on the thoughts that are happening to me, instead of identifying with the thinker, with the observer, with the witness of the movement of thought, because we allow the thought to be so mercurial, so quick, right? And then we say, this is me, this is my character, this is the way I am, and then we go at the behest of the thought, and that may land us in trouble. Even if it's not, people are thinking a lot all the time. That is causing overwhelm in people. So this is very relevant to our present age. This is very relevant to all the people who are knowledge workers. This is very relevant to people who are buried in thinking, you know, and a lot of burnout, stressed out individuals are really buried in their thoughts, either negative or positive, mostly negative, and the negative becomes much more powerful as it becomes thought again and again and again. Remember Buddha's two arrow theory? I repeated this in several rooms. That's why I'm saying that. What did the Buddha say? The first arrow will always come from the environment or from outside. Okay, whatever it is, any difficulty, anything will come from outside. But it's not the first arrow that's the problem. It's the second arrow that we react. That is our second arrow. So how you react is the thing that you can get hold of. That's what I'm presenting. You can really control that, and then you will not be a victim of so many stimuli from outside that will make you feel miserable all the time. Okay, and it is resulting in neurosis, anxiety, and depression. This continuous thought. So I want you to understand why this is important, and also try to learn these techniques, and then have the mind under your control. People can't even stay in a room for a few seconds. They just come and go. Why? Because they want to do something else. They don't want to stand and see what is the subject, what is the person is talking about, is this relevant or not to me. But then, if you appear and disappear in a second, what are you doing? Why did you come? If you come, why didn't you really even listen what is being said? And then you don't have the time to even think about it because your thought is so fast, you can't even absorb that, and then you're disappearing. So you can see that in your life. And the other thing is, once a thought has its place and knows its place, and then you end this persistent psychological unnecessary thoughts, you will be very healthy. That's the point about all. Okay, people are you know trying to do self-realize spiritually, attain the peace. That is a much bigger goal, and that is actually our aim as human being, and that's very very good if we can do that. Okay, but I don't want to say that to people unless it is their choice and they want to learn. You see, as far as I'm concerned, I think that is the biggest advantage as a human being we have, to realize who we are, you know and then stay in that peace itself, happiness itself, contentment itself. And there are poems in ancient literature. One is called Purnamidam. If you can read that, it will tell you the perfection has created this life form. And once you already have the perfection, if you are in touch with that, that is the permanence you will have, and then you go from there. Okay, so be in touch with that perfection and be that perfection that you already are. But clouds are the thoughts and conditionings and assumptions and judgments, all that we have about ourselves, always missing that perfection with it. Once you have that, you have forever fulfillment, and with that, you don't need anything from anybody, or you don't need anything from the world itself. You are already contented, and then you go and help the world. You see, that's why I was always telling Atma Mokshardha, self-realization first as a human being, and next Jagat Hitacha, go and work for the welfare of the world. Then you don't have any differences, you don't have any identifications, and you are with the world. The world is you, and you are the world. Okay, those are all big statements, maybe, but the basic thing is, see whether you are able to focus on anything first. If not, start with that, and then try to turn inward and observe what's going on within you. And as you really see that, then you will say, okay, I don't have to have these unnecessary thoughts. Then you will not be able to give the root to that, right? And then you let them go, and you kind of turn them positive. And if there are advantages for you, it will be very very good in the long run. It's a positive, you know strengthening the positive. And eventually you will come to one thought and go beyond that, and thought is under your control. Once you have that, you don't have any problem with that. Okay, so anybody wants to come up, you're more than welcome up to me, either on the clubhouse or on the. I think somebody wants to come up, on the clubhouse. Let me see. Okay, I'm trying to bring him up. Okay, I did ask him to come up. Mm. I did ask him to come up. I don't know why it's not working. Uh, there it is. Hi. Hello, doctor. How are you today? I am great. How are you? It's a good day. Yeah. I see my friend Girish, who I met yesterday, from
Hello, Girish. Hello, Sandeep. Hello, everyone down below.
So, you have anything to say about this topic?
Yes, I didn't want to impede on the direction that you were going, but absolutely, I'm working on a project. I actually reached out to you in Instagram. You may not have seen it yet. Um, my project is for mindfulness, breathwork, and animated artwork to slow the thoughts and to exit from the loop, negative inner talk loop. And I'm seeking guidance and mentorship in regards to proceeding and collaborations
Yeah,
with the project. I have a
yeah,
couple neuroscientists who are advisors. Sam Reed has been helping with the project, helping me get dissertation papers that I don't have access to.
yeah.
So that,
Ask me a question that you want me to answer, then I'll be able to answer that.
well, one of them, the questions, is in regards to gathering data from the project that I'm working on. I see many different headsets that can can gauge what's going on in the brain during different activities. And I'm wondering what your views on those are. If you have not seen my Instagram, maybe I can get an answer before and
Yeah,
after you take a look at my prototype, which is more of a simulation rather than a prototype, but it gives you an idea.
yeah,
So my determination is to gather data of what is happening while you're watching the slow animation. Very minimalism, not like all these other animations you're seeing out there with they bombard your senses. I'm going the opposite direction of minimalism with breath work, um, abstract animated art. Dr. Kandel, neuroscientist, talks about abstract art and the effect on the brain. I'm pursuing some of his findings. There's not a lot of work out there in that regard, so I was seeking some of your input maybe before, and I can ask again after you view my project.
well, let me tell you one thing. First of all, I don't like to call this mindfulness because that kind of deviates people from what they're trying to do in the process of the so-called mindfulness. You're actually trying to be out of the mind into the awareness. So I would call that awareness fullness. So breathing, focusing on that really gets you away from the rapid thoughts, and also really focuses on the awareness that is experiencing these thoughts. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is all the data and everything else. I'm also a data, I'm a big data person actually. But let me tell you about the difference between a scientist, a technologist, and a yogi. All the three I kind of am. I'm a scientifically trained doctor. I'm also into the neuroscience, follow that and all that. That's all about objects outside of us, and then we make a theory. We kind of collect data points and then do something. A phenomena that's outside of us. Okay, but what we are talking about here is a human being having the thoughts and feelings and everything internally, right? Then, if you take uh, yogi, a scientist may do data outside, and the technologists will use the tools that came out of the science, which is all fine, but they're mostly outward. Our aim is now to make people go inward of them as a human being and explore that. So in yoga, the yogi wants to experience this. Okay, it's not like about a theory or presenting data and all of that. It's about what is happening within you. That is depends upon the person and all that. So focus on your interior first. See what's going on. It's not about changing other people. It's about changing yourself. Focus on that, and then everything will come out good for you and for the others too. One thing, really sincerity about this practices are, if you don't experience, I don't think you should go and tell anybody out there. So I stuck to that principle. So my thoughts quieten down, and I'm beyond that, and in that awareness all the time, in the present all the time. And that's a very beautiful, great happiness and peace itself. Once you touch that, you don't have to be a Mahatma for this. You just understand the mechanics of the thought and all that. Once you are that, then you use thought appropriately for the outward things. For inward things, you use intuition. You feel it. You know intuitively what is going on with you, and then change that. And we can always have private sessions. I'm more than happy to really, talk to you, and then see what we can do together. Okay, no problem.
Thank you. I'll seek you on
Yeah,
private session.
yeah, sure.
I've utilized my endeavor for my quieting my thought and had
Yeah,
a major improvement. So
yeah,
the measure scaling it is something interesting. But I'll turn the mic back over to you and say hey, hello to Sandeep,
yeah,
and we'll talk back channel. Thank you so much, Doctor.
sure. Sandeep, welcome. How are you?
Good, Dr. Rao. Good morning to you. Thank you. Much good to see you again after a long time. And
I'm here all the
all
time.
your
I didn't. You have
yeah,
to
I know.
seek me.
I've
Yeah.
sorry. I've yes, I have not been attending, but
Yeah.
I've been practicing your teachings every day. I must tell you that, and they've actually helped me. So
Yeah.
so
What
that
I
is
mean is, I'm not
I wanted to
missing.
give you that feedback.
I'm not missing. That's what I'm saying. I was always there somehow or other. You know.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So just one question on this. I thought I will, since I'm here, I might as well ask you.
Sure.
One of the things that had come up in one of our earlier discussions was that about slowing thought, right? Slowing the flow of thoughts.
Yeah.
So you had suggested that focuses on his or her breath,
Yeah.
right? That and when you ensure that you take breath as is as it is your the rate of breathing slow and the direct relationship with the flow of thought.
Yeah.
Right? So yes, one technique is to sort of keep reminding you of that. Try and come back awareness of your breath.
Yeah.
That is one, and which but that is one thing. But how does one? I mean, the other progression was that how does one look forward to slowing down that the rate further was my question.
Who is that asking that how? That is one you need to understand. What happens is the thought and the breath, they come from the same source as per the yoga, Vedanta, any of those Eastern internal practices, right? So if you cannot really control the thoughts, what you can control is the breath, you know, and that's a preliminary, very first, like a band-aid. It's not everything, but a lot of people do not really breathe properly and also focus on the breath. One thing that will work is, if you do early in the morning, right after you wake up, that's a good time to really be in the awareness rather than the movement of thought. So in the morning when you get up, don't jump on the thought wagon right away. Practice deep breath and being in awareness, at least for no, not, don't call it meditation anything. Just be aware of your present, be aware of the surroundings, be aware of the natural things that are going on within your body, outside of your body, around the nature and all that. Just being aware of that, not allowing all the data come in, will help a lot, and then you can carry that through the day. We have to go and do our work and all that, right? But what do you do during that work? and also try to come back to this presence that you felt in the morning, and not felt, it is there, you are there in the present, right? And then you fall out of it during the work and during the encounters with life, during our regular relationship with everything else, right? Then you make it a hourly practice or 2 hourly practice where just for a minute come back, what I call presence breathing break. The idea of there is not only just try to deep breathe, but also coming to the present. And then once you are there, it will completely go back again into that state, more likely. Otherwise, you are allowing the car to go in the fifth gear all the time. What I'm saying is, stop that rapid thinking every hour or a minute or so, and that becomes a good practice too. And then you can see, okay, I'm going to use the thought for the tasks that I need, but I'm not going to emotionally unnecessarily react to them. Watch that too. That also goes down. So you become non-reactive, responsive to your job. So that job won't allow you to go into that thought mode continuously, even though you're done with the thing. So, like I'm talking to any room I come, after that, I go into the other room. I focus on that topic, on that room, what we're talking about. It's not changing anything, but being here and now. Am I completely present here now? That kind of thing happens. And then deep breathing becomes a habit. Slow thought becomes a habit. And also, the thought also really won't have so much overwhelming power on you. So it's like you got to be from where you are, and then you can see yourself how you are internally. So start with the deep breathing in the morning and continue with a few breaks through the day. And at the end of the day, try to put all those things that you have experienced during the day, negative, positive reactions, whatever, before you go to sleep, let them go. And as you try to do this, that means you are marching towards completely occupied with thought too, using the thought appropriately, and rest of the time being in that awareness presence. Once you have that, you don't have to even try it. It will be like that, and very serene, nice, peaceful feeling. So it takes years for them to come. I don't think so. It's a question of being earnest about being in the present. Does that make sense to you, Sandeep?
Yes, thank you very much. That definitely helps me
Yeah.
pursue that process.
See,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
one of the
I
difficult things is we hear so many theories, conclusions, philosophies, and so many people say, "Oh, that this and that." But when it comes to our experience, make it simple. Like breathing is something simple we can do. So I'm anchoring around it, but I'm not saying that is the only solution. And also the more erudite you are, that means you are reading the art of things that are unrelated, conflicting, the more confused we become without us knowing about it. So I always tell people, study your own book. That means what is happening with me in my mind, in my heart. How am I responding to the challenges that come my way? How I am using knowledge of the past or projection of the future into this. So this is called self knowledge. First have that, and then mind won't project. Then you will stay in your truth all the time. So read your book first. That's what they really recommended. People like Ramana and other people, they didn't read anything. You know, they actually, that's an advantage, but not reading too much. But not being self-conscious, self-absorbed in thought. That's not what I'm talking about. It is about knowledge about your interior, and for that you got to take some time off, retreat from the world a little bit. Otherwise you get engaged in all the mind. All these discussions and everything on the social audio also kind of makes people very tough. to be away from the influence of those discussions. That happens only when you say somebody might have said that's their experience, but what is it in my experience? You know, what you are inside, only you will know how spiritual you are, how much unintended thoughts you have, or how unnecessary thoughts are there. All those things you only know. Then you say, why do I have to think about all this? Even the conclusions from the Shastras or classicals, any of them, they can become a burden on you, provided you don't implement them. That's why the ancient practice of first listen, then don't accept, don't believe, investigate the truth of the matter for yourself. And then once you really see this is the truth, is this truth within me? Or am I just repeating some data, some theories, some conclusions from somewhere? And then suppose somebody says, don't lie, and we listen to it. But when the situation comes, we lie because it's convenient for us. But that's bad or good, leave it aside. The fact is, you know whether you lied or not. And then you actually say, okay, I lied. This is the habit I had. This is the convenience I thought it is. But next time, I won't say anything instead of saying lie. That may be improvement, right? And then later on, you say, okay, if I say the truth, the other person may be hurt. Then you keep quiet instead of lying about it. That kind of thing. So whether lying or telling the truth is your own internal thing that has come out, only you will know. Like that, any of these things also. If I say, oh, be calm or be quiet within, I can say to everybody, but whether I'm calm within, quiet within, only I will know. Just like that with you also. So be honest and sincere about your own internal state. Don't judge, don't condemn yourself, just be aware of it, and that will transform itself. See, a lot of these things are transformative when you are really earnest about them. And you want a silent mind, it will happen if you are earnest about everything. You don't have to blame yourself. You just say, well, it is so. How did I come to this? What happened? And you understand. And then you will be able to. What about living in the present is the actually life, because your past is gone and future is not yet here. Here in this moment, you are live. Are you living that? That's the question. So it will come to you. Someday.
Thanks. Thank you, Doctor. I think that's all I had. I will move back to the audience.
Okay, very good. Anybody else has any other question or any other comment that they want to contribute? You are welcome to come up and talk to me about it. Um, Otherwise, I kind of indicated all the processes, and you just pick it up. Pick a time every day in the morning. Make sure you don't have any other stimuli. Go only one place. That will be good. The more you make the body sit down, the more you make the body quiet, the better it is to get into the internal areas. And then also making a habit also in that way is better for that. The moment you go to the spot and then you sit down, it will respond to that. Like when we go to the gym, we feel like exercising, right? Like that. And then avoid all the stimuli, and then focus on the breath first and watch that movement of thought, slow it down, identify if it's negative or positive, and eventually you will come down slow, only one thought, and it's easy to go beyond the thought. One thing later on you'll practice is, what is this one thought, where it is coming from, and you go and stay in that. And that is the thing where you realize that you are that life force behind the thoughts and feelings, and you stay there. And once you are there, it's a really blissful, peaceful, happiness and contented feeling. That they called blissful conscious being, existential being. Once you are in that, then you won't be quickly reacting or quickly judging, quickly commenting, none of that. You just let it come to you, and you can listen better at the time, because You are not psychologically busy. You are existentially alive. Remember those two words and see which you are. Are you being psychologically busy when you are recounting all the things that you learned, statements, or when you are living in the past and then recounting that experience again in your mind, but actually the experience is not there in your presence? And are you projecting your mind into that? Is the major problem. Mind projects, and we think that is what it is. It's actually it is not really that. Unless the mind starts to stop to project, you will be in that net, so don't project from whatever situation you are, wherever your mind is, and then you go from there. Okay, so it's all a question of internal, personal, individual work that really makes a difference. Otherwise, they all become just theories to tell somebody else. Do this, then actually you don't have to come out and speak also. But my habit is I'm a physician from the beginning, and I do see a lot of people suffer because of the burnout and the stress. And I'm not saying everybody has a patient, but what I'm saying is everybody is a human being, and we all have this suffering at various degrees, right? The more we all understand what it is, why we are contributing to it, the better we will be. That's why I come out and speak. You remember what they said? First, strive for self realization. Realize who you really are behind the thought, and then go and help the world. Atma mokshardham jagat hitacha. That is the meaning of that. And then you come and try to say your piece without expecting anything in return. Practical matters may be there, like a business matters, but in your hearts of hearts, you won't expect them anybody to be grateful or to be your slaves or anything like that. You just relate with the patient or anybody else like a human being. With that, if anybody else wants to say anything on the wisdom app, also I will be open for a few more minutes there. Is there a clubhouse or Instagram that want to come up and say something? Okay, if not, then we will close those areas, and I will keep open on the wisdom. Sometimes they want to come up and the other platforms are not open. Okay. Um, Thank you very much. And if you have any doubts, you can always reach me. You can come and join my wellness club, where I'm more available on my Facebook club and Facebook room, and also on the Zoom in the morning, and then later on. So actually, people are calling me for individual consult. That's fine too. Trying to find most of the time in this activities, which is very, very um, uh, happy for me to do that. Personally, makes me very happy that I'm using my time properly. And at the same time, during that time that I'm working with people, I am meditative too. So it's a very, very nurturing thing for me too. Self fulfillment and also fulfillment for the other people too. No arguments, no trying to convince anything, just traveling together as friends, hand in hand, and trying to understand. So that's like a movement in love and affection and really friendship. So that's a very rewarding experience, right? So I'm very happy about that. So people can reach me on, anything, LinkedIn or any of the platforms I'm open on. Thank you very much, and I will see you again later. Okay, bye. Okay, but those who are on the uh, visitor map, we can continue to talk about it if you wish, and I will answer some questions also if you have any, or you want to contribute, you can come too. I wonder, yeah. friends are there, Frank and Sonia and other people. I'm trying to adjust all those channels that were there. So, alrighty, if everybody is satisfied with whatever we had talked about, I will see you back some other time. Thank you.